We're going to continue graphing systems of equations. We're going back to inequalities, so we're going to be looking at shading, solid lines, dashed lines. This time what we're going to add to it is not just linear equations, we're going to be adding quadratic equations. So for the first thing that I like to do is always start off with the easy equation. So in this case, the easy equation is the y is less than 3. I'm going to go up 3, plot a point. There's no x, that means the slope is 0, so I have a horizontal line. It's dashed. Once again, the reason that it's dashed is because there's no line underneath, and since it's less than, I'm shading below. Then I'm going to solve my quadratic. This is a little bit more difficult quadratic. We have a b value, so that means we're going to use our axis of symmetry formula, negative b over 2a. And my b value is 2, so that's negative 2 over 2 times 1. That would be negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So that means my vertex has a point at negative 1. I plug that back in. Negative 1 squared is 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And then I bring down the 1. That right there would give me a 0. So negative 1 and 0. I follow the pattern. If I go to the right 1, 1 squared is 1. And if I go to the right 2, 2 squared is 4. I draw a solid line. And less than is shaded below. And where the answer is where they cross. And we see that it crosses all in here. So I darken it to make sure everybody knows what the answer is. So looking at letter B, we're going to do the same thing. This time I am going to start with the bottom equation because that's the linear one. So negative 1 is my y-intercept. I go up 2 to the right 1. Just to make sure my line is straight, I do it again. It's a solid line. And since it's less than, I'm shading below. For the quadratic, once again, it has a b value. So x equals negative 4 over 2 times 1. Negative is a positive. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my vertex would be 2 comma 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. So 2, negative 4, follow the same pattern. And this is dashed because there's no line underneath. And since it's greater than, what we're going to do is we're going to shade above. Now above, I always look at the vertex, and above would be inside. And once again, the answer is where the two shadings meet. So the two shadings meet, let's see, we'll get it all in here. This is be our answer. Okay, looking at our next one, we see two quadratics. With the first one, no b value. That's really nice. It makes it easy because our vertex is at 0. If we plug in a 0, that would be a 2. So we have 0, 2. This one has a value that's negative. That means instead of it going up, it's now going down. So I follow my same pattern for a quadratic, and I go down. It's, again, a dashed line. And less than, I look at my vertex, less than would be below. So that right there would be the shading. Now looking at the next one, I see that it's in standard form. I have a b value. So x equals negative 2 divided by 2 times 1. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So my vertex, if I plug in a negative 1, negative 1 squared is 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So -1, -1 is my vertex. I follow the pattern of going to the right and left 1 and up 1, and to the right 2 and up 4, and to the left 2 and up 4. It's dashed because there's no line underneath the inequality, meaning that it's less than, it's not less than or equal to. Since it's less than, I look at the vertex. Less than would be below, so I'm doing everything below. And then my answer is where they overlap, and where they overlap is going to be all in here. Okay, pause the video, try those next 3 and see how you do. Okay, once again, I'm going to start off with my linear inequality. So I see that there's no y-intercept, so I plot the point at 1, and then my slope, plot the point at 0, and then my slope is 1, so I go up 1 to the right 1, and then up 1 to the right 1 again. I draw a dashed line, and less than means I shade below. Now I have a quadratic equation. I have a b value. So I go x equals negative 2 over 2 times 1. A negative is a positive. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So then my vertex would be at 1. When I plug in a 1, 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 plus 1. That would give me a 0. So 1, 0 is my vertex. We use the points, the pattern, going right up and then right 2, up 4. And that gives me a dashed line. And since it's greater than, it's above the vertex, so I do everything above the vertex. This right here is really small. It's just this little slit right in here. Now, looking at the next one, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my linear inequality. I see that we have a 1. So I'm going to draw a vertical line at 1. And then greater than means that it's going to go to the right. And then for the second one, I see that it's a quadratic. I see that my b value is 2. So x equals negative 2 over, and then it's 2 times negative 1. And negative is a positive. So that would be a positive 1. And then the vertex would be 1 comma 1 squared is 1, so that's negative 1. And I plug in a 1, that would be a 2. So 1, 1. Then I follow my pattern. Notice that it's going down this time. So I draw my solid line. I see that it's greater than. So greater than is above the vertex. So I do everything above. And my answer would be where the 2 overlap. Okay, last one. This time we have 2 quadratics. For the first one, we have a b value. So we have x equals negative 4, and then 2 times 1, which is negative 2. So my vertex is negative 2. When I plug in the negative 2 in for the x, negative 2 squared is 4, and then 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Then for the other one, I see that there's no b value, so that makes it really easy. The vertex is at 0. When I plug in a 0, that gives me a 4. So for the first one, we have negative 2, negative 4, and I follow my pattern with a dashed line. And since it's greater than, we shade above. And then for the second one, I have 0, 4, and I follow my pattern, and this time it's going down. And it is also dashed. And this is less than, so we're shading below. And I see that my answer is right in here.